Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, middle of the week. I'm sure quite a few of you are getting ready for services for this evening. So hopefully, you are getting ready for a great day. Hey, let me know where you're watching from. I know you're probably watching on the replay. And so let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how things are going and love to connect with you. So, good morning. So, take some time and spend some time with the Lord today as you are preparing for your services tonight. Make sure to also spend time with the Lord for yourself. Get prayed up, get filled up, and get ready to serve because you're going to be giving out a lot. And so make sure to fill up. So, want to talk about this. I know this is a busy time. Summertime is a busy time, and there's a lot of things going on. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite things that I do in the summer. And I wrote about it in my book, Prepared for Impact, and want to talk a little bit about it today. It is leading a summer review retreat. Okay, now you might be saying a retreat. I've already got like 5 of those this summer. Summer camps, retreats, all that kind of stuff. But want to encourage you to think about doing a summer review retreat. Okay, so what is a summer review retreat? Well, it is exactly that. It's a time for you to get away. Sometimes I've done this with myself, or sometimes I've done this with teams. My favorite is obviously to do it with a small group of team. And it's looked different throughout the years, depending on the size of my team, who's available, um, what finances are available, location, all that kind of stuff. So it's doable at all kinds of different levels and scales. So I don't think that because you're at a church of 200, this doesn't apply to you, or that you're at a church of 10,000, this doesn't apply for you. So I think that you can do this at any level, every level, and it's one of my favorite things to do in the summer. So it's chapter, what is it? I think it's like chapter 12. No, chapter 9. Chapter 9 in the book, page 49. It's called Leading a Review Retreat. John 6:3, it says, and Jesus went up to the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Jesus often spent time, when we read scripture, there's often times where it says that Jesus went away, or early in the morning, Jesus went away and he prayed and he fasted and he sought the Lord. And so, really, a review retreat is kind of modeled after that. Kind of this idea of getting away and reviewing and thinking. As many of you guys know, I am a pretty big advocate for the Full Focus Planner. And the Full Focus Planner, big thing for that system is a quarterly review and then also an annual review. And so I think reviewing is really important. I think sometimes, a lot of times, we just get in the grind and we're just going and going and going, right? There's another Wednesday night, there's another summer camp, there's another missions trip, there's another thing. There's always going. But I think the summer is a really great time to slow down, and do some of these reflective reviewing things, because especially in student ministries, kids ministry, next gen ministries as a whole, a lot of the calendaring is based on the school year. And so this is kind of that break before you gear up for the new year. For a fiscal year calendar, right? December is kind of November, December is kind of that time. But in Next Gen Ministry, really summer is that time of review. And then November, December is kind of that midway point, review point, which I'll talk about those, those reviews when we get there. But for right now, I want to talk about the summer review, and how to do this, and some of the key elements that I would suggest you implementing and putting in. So, a couple of things is one is this is a time for you just to totally get away, and to look at your next gen ministry, Now, if you're part of a Next Gen Ministry family ministry team, this could be good for you guys to do as a whole. If you're a Next Gen pastor overseeing kids and youth, maybe you've got a kids ministry director, an elementary director, maybe you've got a junior high pastor and a high school pastor. This could be good for you to take the whole team, and then maybe do 2 or 3 days total, and maybe one or two of those they break off into their own, and they spend a day just the kids staff together, they spend a day with the youth staff together, and maybe you're bouncing back and forth facilitating some of the elements there. If you're by yourself, this is still a great thing to do by yourself. If you're at a mid-level and you've got the opportunity to take some people with you, some key student voices, some key parent voices, some key volunteer voices would be great to bring to this type of a retreat. And again, I've done this many times where it's just me. Or me and maybe my spouse, or me and just somebody else. So, at all levels, this is scalable and you can do this. And so, I want to encourage you to block off. Now, I've done this many times where I actually go away and go off and get a cabin, or stay at someone's house, or things like that. But I've also done this as kind of a in-house retreat as well, where we just meet at the church, and so do that for pretty much 10 o'clock all the way to 4 or 5 o'clock, or later, depending on your team's availability, and then maybe do that twice, 2, 3 days in a row. The other thing that's nice to do is that allows people to maybe that aren't able to come to a 2 day or 3 day retreat. They can kind of come in maybe for 2 or 3 afternoons. So again, this is not a this is exactly how it's done. This is really moldable and shapeable to your context, your availability, what resources you have available to you, and what time you have. But the first thing I would say is really be proactive in scheduling this. This is something that I have scheduled into my calendar, into my youth budget, into my rhythm every year to do this. And so what it does is it allows you to improve what you're doing. So the first thing I have there written is load up the bus. So this is getting the right people in on the retreat, in the meetings there. You got to get the right people, because if you have the wrong people there, this is not going to go very well. Okay. So what I find is it's better to have nobody there than the wrong people there. So I'd encourage you to really think through. So some of your key influences, I talk about the Paul Revere principle, those that their voice just really matters. People listen to them. Some detailed people that are going to be able to take good notes, that remember the details. The details matter. And then the visionaries, those that think big, those that dream. You got to get some of these different types of people into the room, and maybe a parent whose voice is just really important, that they think ahead. So, for example, I had a family that was in the military, and they had to turn in their vacation days a year ahead of time. My own family are part of like a kind of like a timeshare, but not really. But they got to put their vacation in. They got to put the request for these hotel timeshare type things a year ahead of time. And so those type of people that are thinking long term, long planning, those things that are going to get you thinking, why is it important for me to publish summer camp a year ahead of time? Why is it important for me to have the mission trip a year? Because people want to be involved in your ministry, but they can't if you're publishing 3 months ahead of time. Hey, it's $3,000 for your kid to go on this trip in 3 months. It's like, well, our vacation's already planned, all this kind of stuff. So all those people that think differently. Okay. So get practical. Okay. Step number 2 is get practical. So bring important things for you. The school year, your district school calendar is important. Making sure that you've got your church's mission, vision, values written down, known in front of you. Make sure that you've got whiteboards and large paper and sticky notes and pens to be writing all these things down. Make sure you've got in other videos, I've talked about what it takes binders and folders. So these are binders that have what it takes to put on an event, have those types of things that you can go back through if you don't have those written out. Again, maybe you can bring just the your notes from those events, at least know what those events were throughout the year. So your youth budget, your youth calendar, all of those things would be really important for you to have. Okay, so here's a couple of different ways to bring this up, so or to schedule out your retreat. So ideas and suggestions. So start off with just big picture. Hey, this last year, some ideas, some suggestions. What went right? What went wrong? What can we improve? What was confusing? What was hard? Large group topics. So how did winter camp go? How did the student leadership event go? How did VBS go? Just big topic. Everyone jump in, 4 or 5 people at a time. Next, breakout groups. This would be sending people into smaller groups to talk about a specific topic. Okay, so we talked big picture about how winter camp went. Okay, now I want you guys to break up into different groups, and you guys talk about how we can improve the food, or you guys talk about how we can improve small groups, or you guys talk about how we can improve worship. So maybe you have different people that represent those different areas of the winter camp. And this is again, if you're leading your own. If you're leading, you're going to go into a denominational one. How can we improve transportation? How can we improve registration? How can we improve even making our portion of the camp memorable and meaningful? How can we improve team spirit or the culture of what happens in the cabins? So improving those things, and then come back and people share, talk about it. Or you can even do break up into 2 or 3 groups. We're all talking about the same thing, but just in smaller groups. Because again, when we look at personality assessments, DISC, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, whatever it might be, we know that different personalities will talk differently in different types of sizes of groups, right? So maybe like a type 5 might not jump in too quickly in a group of, say, 5, 6 people, a brainstorming session, but they might have great ideas in a smaller group when they're being asked and they feel more comfortable to share their information. So just trying out that. Okay. Calendar, go through your whole calendar. What worked, what didn't work? Was there too much here? What you might find is, man, we probably shouldn't have planned this gigantic, huge push sermon series right in the middle of prom season, or playoff season for the football, right? Like, oh man, that was a great idea, wrong time. Or, man, we just felt burnt out. We did too much back to back and our team felt burnt out. We need to move and spread things out. Or, man, we probably shouldn't plan these outdoor events because of the weather and this time of the year. So it's not bad to do outdoor events. You need to plan it differently based on the calendar. So systems in place. These are, what are our systems in place? How do we communicate? How do we create great environments? So what do we do? How do we do them? What are those systems that keep our ministry going? And then again, I gave you in the book here some sample schedules of what that might look like. And so we'd love to hear, what are you doing? Have you done a review retreat for yourself or with your team? What have you done? How are review retreats? Because I want to encourage you, review retreats have been an absolute game changer for me over the years. And again, I break it down more in my book, Prepared for Impact, 12 Keys to Unlock You and Your Youth Ministry. So a couple of things. You can do a SWOT analysis, which would be our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. So you just write those down on big boards. So what are our strengths right now? You could do that for our whole ministry. You could do that for just a specific event. What are the strengths? What were the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? And what are our threats to that event, to our ministry, to our programming? Look back through those and review it through that lens. So I want to encourage you. This is one of my favorite things that I do in the summer. I want to encourage you to take advantage of it. And another little pro tip: right around these events, I typically a couple of times a year, I typically will purchase curriculum, or strategically place guest speakers. And so this would be one of those times where, hey, I'm going to be gone for 2 or 3 days. I don't want to worry about the sermon. I don't want to worry about the youth service. So I will strategically either have purchased some curriculum that's kind of turnkey, or I will have scheduled a guest speaker. So maybe I'm gone, maybe I leave Sunday night, then I'm gone Monday, Tuesday, come back Tuesday night, and then Wednesday I can kind of be in the office. And then Wednesday night, I've got a guest speaker. So I'm not having to worry about that sermon when I'm doing one of these reviews. Because again, what I don't want to do is feel that pressure of having to come back and speak and lead an entire service. So strategically, just map out a guest speaker for that night. So that way, it's fun, and bring in maybe a guest speaker that's a friend. If you want to compound the power of your retreat, is you can bring in somebody who is proficient in leading these types of retreats, that can maybe be a part of your review retreat. So again, this would be compounding that effort of that guest speaker. So somebody that can come in, like myself, they can come in and lead a SWOT analysis, or can lead one of these retreats for you, so for a day or two. And then they can also be your guest speaker, or maybe just a friend that comes in and is there to just kind of brighten the energy, because sometimes you're going to come back really tired from these. But when I come back from these retreats, lots of whiteboards, lots of long paper filled out, lots of sticky notes have been written, all this kind of stuff. So you kind of the calendar is written out. You got all of these supplies that you're bringing back to the office that you will then need to plan a day or so to just write it out and put it all together. So great insights. People feel valued. And that's one of the biggest things I would say, is that people feel valued. They feel heard. They feel cared for after one of these events, because you listened to them, you asked them questions, you took time to improve. And all of these are just really valuable things that are going to have huge dividends for you in the end. So I want to encourage you guys to consider doing a summer review retreat, and it's going to be a game changer for you. Let me know how it goes. Let me know some of your tips. What have you done? What do you do?